Hello and welcome. I'm Sage,
And I'm Karis, and this is
the Coven podcast. We're cousins, witches, and feminists, and we have some thoughts.
In fact, we have a lot of thoughts, and we want to share them with you. On today's episode, we're going to talk about Catholic hospitals, Garnet, The Witch's Book of Self-Care by Arin Murphy Hiscock, and Celebrating the Winter Solstice, or commonly also known as Yule.
Please remember that everything we say are our personal opinions, and they might not resonate with you, but that's okay. We're all on our own journeys. So, Karis, I know we've been kind of MIA recently.
Yes, I was hit with COVID, not once, but twice.
And my dad had recently passed away after being ill for a few months. So we are back in the fray.
Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy few months for us, but here we are. We're back to it, and we're going to try and be more consistent.
More present.
Yes, more present, more consistent, just with posting every other week. And, we're hoping to start it today. So I am still recovering, so I might sound a little funny, just because COVID is no joke. We just wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up as to like why we've been kind of a little spotty and inconsistent, and just let you know that hopefully we'll be a little bit better at it moving forward. With that being said, I think let's start just chatting about our hot topic.
So this topic kind of came up with, I have a little bit of personal history with this. For a little bit, I worked for a healthcare organization that was Catholically affiliated, we'll say. The providers could essentially not prescribe things that they didn't personally believe in. So our hot topic for today is Catholic type hospitals denying birth control, abortion services, sterilization, based on their religious beliefs of the provider, not the patient.
This topic is like a little bit more like in your heart just because you're a nurse and that makes you very much a patient advocate. I will interject before you give your opinion and say we moved recently, and the healthcare system that is by us that I've started going to is a Catholic organization. So I'm really interested in knowing like how that's going to play out for me, especially as that does not align at all with my beliefs. But yeah, anyway, so Sage, give your opinion.
I actually feel kind of passionately about this because I think as a healthcare provider, your personal beliefs should not factor in the care and services that are deemed appropriate and standards of care. That should not affect the care that you give to your patient, regardless of you think it's a choice you would make for yourself or not. Someone wanting birth control medication or permanent sterilization, if that's what they want and it is a proven safe treatment and something that aligns with their health, they should not be denied that because you don't believe in it.
I agree with you 100%. I feel like I have such a differing take. Like, I know we'll probably address this at some point, but I know it sounds kind of crazy as a bisexual person, but I fully support the right of a business to refuse to, say, make a wedding cake for someone because they don't agree. Their religion doesn't agree with supporting that or whatever. Now, do I feel like they should not suffer any consequences because of those choices? No. I feel like if people want to boycott because they don't agree with the fact that they're not providing services to somebody who is gay and they don't want to make their wedding cake, I feel like they should have to deal with the consequences of making that choice, but I do feel like they should be free to make it. That being said, I do not feel the same way about healthcare because healthcare is not a wedding cake. Healthcare is not a service you can just go anywhere to get.
Exactly. I want to interject here real quick. So, yes, as you were saying, there's a very much a difference between making a cake and providing medical care. And there are standards associated with medical care and, evidence-based practice, standards of care, which are not involved in making a cake.
Exactly. We have a capitalist society. Those kinds of things where you can like pick and choose what businesses that you go to and give your patronage at, that's totally different, right? Because there are many places that absolutely will make you that wedding cake. And so that's different. But like for me, here I am in kind of the middle of nowhere now since we moved, and I only have access to a couple of different medical groups, and I don't really have a choice to just go anywhere because my insurance doesn't cover just anywhere. So I have to go to somewhere, where I can get adequate health care. Like healthcare shouldn't be a business. I mean, that is a whole different topic, but healthcare shouldn't be a business. Healthcare is about being alive and being healthy and getting the services you need so you can live your best life, right? So the fact that you could not offer someone healthcare because of a religious belief, I mean, to me, that is absolutely just insanity. And I think that places like this really need to be held accountable. I think that there should be a system in place that prevents stuff like this from happening. And if you're going to be the only system in a certain area, like if you're going to become a healthcare system, you have to offer all care to everyone. And on a separate note, I want to say that not just Catholic hospitals and Catholic health systems are ones to refuse sterilization. I mean, we've come a long way considering how, like, to get any type of birth control back in the day, you'd have to get your husband's permission or things like that. Now we've gotten farther away from that, but some doctors' offices still won't perform sterilization. You have to meet certain criteria. You have to have so many kids or you have to be of a certain age. But I know several people who are child free by choice and they want to make the choice to get a sterilization done and they aren't able because they don't have access because hospitals require certain criteria to be met, such as age or a number of children. And I think that also is crazy.
Yeah. I want to just put also a little disclaimer on this that I'm not saying all Catholic hospital organizations are like this or all providers are like this. I am saying in my experience where I had worked, the providers had a choice. They were able to say, I'm Catholic, that doesn't align with my beliefs, I'm not prescribing birth control. And I just think that's ridiculous. I think 100% that is ridiculous. If you cannot give someone the care that they are asking for that is proven and scientifically backed, just because you do not believe in it, you need to find another career. Period. I don't care what anybody has to say about it. That is my belief. If you cannot separate your personal beliefs from the care that you're giving someone else that is up to the standards, up to the best of the that you can provide and that is available, you have no business being in any kind of healthcare setting. Period. Exclamation point.
I agree. If I do remember correctly, didn't they not cover birth control like for their employees either?
Oh yeah, I had to get a separate insurance rider that because it wasn't in our like base kind of plan, so we had to get an additional part on your insurance that would cover it.
That's insane.
I mean, I would like to know our listeners' thoughts. If anybody wants to comment on any of our video postings, I would be interested to know what anybody else thinks about it and have a good dialogue going.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that in addition to talking about this, any type of topic that we bring up, it would be really great if people want to comment. We are on YouTube, so if you want to go over there and drop us a comment, we'll definitely respond.
Yeah, we're on all of the things.
All of the things. Today's 2-minute book recommendation is The Witch's Book of Self-Care by Arin Murphy Hiscock. Here's a blurb from Amazon summary. The goals of self-care are simple. Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy spirit. This book helps you prioritize with a little help from the magic of witchcraft. The Witch's Book of Self-Care has advice for pampering your mind, body, and spirit with spells, meditations, mantras, and powerful activities to help you to keep healthy, soothe stress, relinquish sadness, channel joy, and embrace your strength. So why should you read it? The holiday season is a very stressful time of the year for most of us, and it's a really important for you to take some time out and take care of yourself. So this book gives you a lot of really good ideas and easy ways for you to engage in self-care during this season and really any time of the year. But there are tons of things that you could incorporate into your witchcraft practice, little things and simple things to more like kind of elaborate spells and practices. This is a book that will help you to make sure that self-care is incorporated into an everyday practice so that we don't neglect ourselves, especially in a time of year that we don't really do a lot of self-focusing. I find that this time of the year, I'm more focused on buying presents for people or traveling or going to parties. It's like a lot of give of your energy, and it's very easy to neglect taking care of your own energy and yourself. So today we are going to talk about Yule or the winter solstice. So this is going to be a lot similar to kind of what we did when we broke down our discussion about Samhain. We're just going to kind of give you some background, some correspondences, some advice on how to celebrate and things we love to do. Kind of give you a little winter solstice celebration synopsis.
Yule is one of the best times of the year, I think, because the whole world gets involved. Even if it's not what you are particularly believing, there are many, many, many religious celebrations all over the world at this time. So we call it Yule, or AKA the winter solstice. FYI, solstice means the sun is standing still. So on this day, this is the shortest amount of daylight that we have in the year. So everything coming up to that point, the days are getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. So after December 21st or 22nd is around when we celebrate Yule, the daylight becomes longer after that until we reach the summer solstice, when that's the longest day of the year. So looking at the wheel of the year, the summer solstice and the winter solstice are opposite of each other. One is the longest day of the year in the summer, and the winter is the shortest day of the year. This festival holiday has roots in the Germanic and Norse peoples. Popularly looking at Wicca, this could symbolize the goddess giving birth to the newborn god, which is symbolized by the solstice sun. It was traditional to, I'm going to try to say this in a diplomatic way, because for anybody that doesn't know, I do not eat meat. I do not eat any animals. And during this time, it is traditional, we'll say. I don't know how much it goes on now, but animal slaughtering, a sacrifice of animals to be kind of like an offering, but also knowing that, maybe people can't feed them during the winter. They can be food for the people. But I have a philosophy of animals are friends, not food. So do with that what you will.
I don't have that philosophy and I do eat meat. I'm going to talk about some of the correspondences of Yule or the winter solstice. First of all, let's chat about some deities. Sage talked about in Wicca how this time of the year symbolizes the goddess giving birth to the newborn god, and that is the solstice sun. In some modern pagan traditions, often in Celtic traditions, you have the Holly King and the Oak King, and they're seasonal archetypes that represent those changing of the seasons. And during Yule, this is when the Oak King is reborn, signaling the return of longer days and the waxing power of the sun. Another deity that is associated with this time of the year is the Dagda, which is an Irish god. He is associated with abundance, the sun, and protection. His attributes tie in with the themes of warmth, plenty, and the returning sun. Then we have Saturn or Saturnalia. Saturn is a Roman god. Now, this isn't directly related to Yule, but the festival of Saturnalia in ancient Rome coincided with the winter solstice. So Saturn was celebrated during this time, and it was an emphasis of feasting and gift giving and role reversal, meaning that the servants and the lords would switch places. So it was a really interesting time. Again, this is sort of the week-long celebration that leads up to that winter solstice. Then we have the color correspondences for Yule. So gold, which symbolizes the return or the rebirth of the sun, abundance, prosperity, wealth. Then we have red, which symbolizes energy, courage, passion, and green, which represents life, growth, renewal, and the promise of spring. And these are all colors that you see really everywhere during this time of the year. Definitely you see it in Christian Christmas or even commercialized Christmas, we'll say. But they're definitely colors that really represent the season as a whole and kind of appear everywhere. Next up, we have some crystals. The first one that I have is ruby, which represents warmth, life force, abundance. It really embodies the energy of the sun. You can use ruby to attract prosperity, passion, and vitality during those darker days of winter. Then we have pyrite, which is gold. So that embodies the energy of abundance and prosperity. It really aligns with the spirit of like feasting and celebration that we see during this time of the year. Then we have citrine, which citrine really resonates with the energy of the sun. It symbolizes joy and success and positivity. It can be used to invite warmth and abundance into one's life. And it's also a really great representation of the promise of longer days ahead. So now that we've gotten to this winter solstice where the days have kind of become as short as they're going to be, we see that moving forward, we have this promise of longer time with the sun. And then finally, also, garnet is a really good one, but Sage is going to actually talk about that today in the crystal segment. So I'll skip right over that. Some herbs that are commonly associated with this time of the year and with Yule would be holly, vibrant red berries, spiky leaves. Holly is on pretty much everything. It represents protection, goodwill, and hope, and it's often used to decorate homes, and that's because it's believed to ward off negative energies. Then we have pine. So this symbolizes prosperity, purification, rejuvenation. It's often used in Yule decorations like wreaths and garlands, and of course, trees. Its fresh scent is also associated with renewal and the promise of spring. Then we have bay laurel, so bay leaves. This is considered a symbol of success and victory. Bay leaves are sometimes included in Yule rituals to attract good fortune and positive energies for the coming year. And then we have cinnamon. So that is like probably my favorite scent. It's my favorite herb to work with in spell work. It's my favorite incense. I love cinnamon. So it's got a warm and spicy scent, and it's often used in Yule recipes and decorations. And it symbolizes like prosperity and abundance and all the comforts of the holiday season. So let's move on to the last set of correspondences I have, and that is just food and drinks really associated with this time of the year. The first one is mulled wine or hot apple ciders. You can spice those things with cinnamon and cloves and nutmeg, but that's really kind of a good drink for Yule and the winter solstice. Then we have the Yule log cake. So this is a traditional dessert that looks like a log. Honestly, you see it even just like outside of Yule celebrations. You see the Yule log. It is kind of a sponge cake that's rolled in chocolate flavored filling and decorated to look like a log covered in snow. And it symbolizes the Yule log that's burned during the solstice, which we'll talk about a little bit later in this segment. And then as far as food goes, definitely root vegetables. So like potatoes, carrots, parsnips, turnips. They're often roasted or used in really hearty stews, and they signify like earthiness and sustenance and the season's produce, so what's left over from that fall harvest. And then we have like sweet treats, so like honey cakes or pastries with spices. They represent sweetness and prosperity and the bounty of the fall season that we're, leaving, because this is the first day of winter. Yule is the first day of winter. So and all of this obviously applies to the Northern Hemisphere. The Southern Hemisphere, everything's kind of flipped on its head. But for the Northern Hemisphere, this is the first day of winter. So these things are representing all of what fall has given us.
And then I wanted to include this fun little jar type mini altar. I wouldn't really call it a spell jar, like a mini altar in the spellwork slash rituals section. So to do this, you would need a wide mouth jar, or if you've been to the dollar store, how they have the little it almost looks like a fishbowl kind of glass container would work too. For this, you will need salt for protection, some nuts for new beginnings or beginnings, juniper for health, rosemary for wisdom, pine for prosperity, and kind of get all that in the jar, and a red candle, and you can light the candle in there. So you want something with an open top. You're not gonna close it or anything. And I just think it's like a cute little way to have something that like looks cool and it also serves a purpose and it's portable.
That's awesome. I just wanted to, as the resident tarot and oracle person, I just wanted to talk about some tarot and oracle decks that I feel like are really good for Yule and just this time of year generally. So, of course, the first one that I am going to say is the Seasons of the Witch Yule Oracle. Not going to disappoint you. This entire series is great. We're going to use this for the tarot reading for the collective today, but it is very heavily themed to Yule and it's got a lot of really great cards in it. Definitely recommend picking that up. If you would rather have a tarot deck, there are a few that I will recommend. So, my favorite tarot deck of all time is the Luna Soul Tarot. I know I've talked about it, I know I've used it on this podcast, and I will always recommend it. But it's really great for this time of the year because we're celebrating the sun. The next one I would recommend would be the Wandering Star Tarot. So, first of all, I will say this deck is really great if you're just getting into tarot because it has the keywords subtly incorporated. It's definitely a really interesting, easy read. It's really great for inner work. And I think it's great for this time of the year because, winter is here and we're starting to focus inward and do internal work. This deck really helps us to reflect. Definitely a good one for this season. And then finally, the Phantom Wise Tarot. Now, this deck has a few caveats. So, first of all, yes, it is based on the world of the Night Circus. It is created by Erin Morgenstern, who wrote that book, but you do not have to read the book to enjoy the deck. Secondly, it is entirely in black and white. So if you like color in your decks, you might not enjoy just a completely black and white palette. But with that out of the way, I am going to say this deck and guidebook are so great. They are absolutely enjoyable and great to work with. I think that the black and white color palette really adds to the appeal for me. And it's what makes it seasonally appropriate just because of that stark black and white for these winter months. I feel like it's a really good deck for this time of the year.
So, going into some more altar ideas to kind of elaborate on the wide mouth jar. If you have a larger altar space, just think about, things that could be incorporated for the season. So, like pine cones, pine needles, like a little tree or like piece of pine, poinsettias, mistletoe, all those things would go good for a Yule themed altar. Quartz, like I've said multiple times, quartz should be everywhere because it is everywhere. For candles or colors, as we've already talked about, white, gold, green, red candles. Oils or incense would be good for also things you would think of this type of season. Cinnamon, pine, spruce. I love pine candles or those little wax melts, just as a side note. I love that smell in the wintertime. Spruce, frankincense, cloves. I love cloves. Peppermint, sage, any kind of wreaths that you want to make, a Yule log, going historically, a Yule log. Anything I think that makes you feel like a comfy, cozy kind of feeling for the celebration of Yule that's like light and warmth and whatever makes you feel that, I think belongs on your altar.
Awesome. So now I think let's just chat about our favorite ways that we like to celebrate the winter solstice. I'll go first. So one of my favorite things to do is to decorate for Yule. I think obviously I love putting up the Yule tree. Also can be a Christmas tree. I definitely am not opposed to like mixing in like commercial Christmas at all. And I say commercial Christmas because obviously I don't follow Christianity. I don't celebrate the birth of Jesus. I don't all of that stuff. But commercial Christmas, I mean, sign me up. Santa Claus. I take my dog to get pictures with Santa like every year and that kind of thing. So I totally am all about Christmas as well. But I love the lights. I love the tree. I love putting up decorations. One thing that I really love that I bought a few years ago now, is I don't know if you are familiar with Amy Chesery, but she does paper crafts and like coloring books for witches. She has the coloring book of shadows. And she came out with Yule Papercraft for a Magical Solstice. And it is such a fun little coloring book. So it's got all these different pages that you can create ornaments and greeting cards and gift tags and banners. And I bought it and like print it out. I bought the digital copy and I print it out every year, and we do those things as well as kind of like put our Yule wishes on some of the printout pages that she has. And it's really fun. And so that's one of my favorite things to do around Yule. We also, in my family, we do a Yule gift exchange, which is super fun. So it's separate from Christmas. And then we also normally, not this year, because unfortunately we're going to be traveling on Yule, but we do like a nice Yule feast. So we'll be doing a Christmas dinner this year. And then finally, one of my favorite things to do is Yule gratitude and intentions. So we write down all of our intentions or wishes for the coming year, as well as our gratitude for all the things we received in the previous year, or like I'm thankful for my cousin. I've had her all my life, but I'm obviously thankful just for all of the experiences that we had together last year. So I would write that on there. And then once I put all of my gratitude and all of my wishes for the coming year, we fold up the paper and we burn them in a fire, basically symbolizing a release of the old and a welcoming of the new. And if you have a fireplace or a fire pit where you could have an actual fire, something that's really cool, or a really cool idea, is that you can write those intentions and that gratitude on the log itself, like as a family, and you can burn that and just kind of have that burning during your celebration for Yule, which I think is really fun. But I don't have a fireplace or a fire pit. I live in an apartment, so we just do it in a cauldron or over a candle in a fireproof bowl. So that's that's what we do. We make what we have work. So what about you, Sage? What do you like to do for Yule and celebrating of the winter solstice?
I just like to be cozy and have blankets and be snuggly and snoodly. I I like warm drinks like coffees and cocoa, and just being snuggly is my favorite. And I also like gathering with the family, friends, loved ones, baking cookies, food, like gathering for food. This year, I don't know, it's hard for me to kind of get it together. I don't really feel very festive. It's hard for me to get it together. I don't even have like a tree up or anything right now. It's just maybe by next year. I don't know. I'm trying. I'm trying, but it's just hard for me to get it together.
That's okay. Some years are like that. Life happens. I mean, I wish I was ready to go to celebrate every single Sabbath and every single like reason for celebration, all the holidays, but I sometimes you just don't. Like life happens, and that's okay.
I did buy this little plastic mantle, like fireplace with a mantle. It says it's Yule log, so it like lights up and makes like a crackling sound. I put in my little area at work. I'm making a little Yule space right here. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel kind of, with everything that's been going on. Like my dad died and his birthday was right before the day before Thanksgiving. I don't know. I just feel weird, but that's okay.
I hope that everyone enjoys Yule and can take some time and just celebrate in the way that they want to. Because I feel like it's rough this time of year, having to be around some of your family that may be a little bit overbearing, may be opinionated, may not support the way that you'd want to celebrate. I hope everybody finds some time for themselves to celebrate in whatever way that they want to, and whatever makes them, happy and thankful, and just find some time for some joy for yourself,
Yeah,
because it's a busy time of year.
agree. Hello, and welcome to the Crystal Corner with your curator, Sage. Today we're going to talk about garnet, which, as already was alluded to, is a stone of the Yule season. To get into some specifics about garnet, it is usually reddish in color, although there are blue garnet, but that's very rare. There are a lot of different uses and types of garnet. So it's difficult for me to kind of narrow it down to one to talk about. So I'm just going to kind of talk about it generally. In general, garnet can either be used as a gemstone or as an abrasive. On the Mohs scale, it's usually between a 6 and a 7.5. so pretty hard, and it can be found in metamorphic rock primarily, to a lesser extent in igneous rock or sedimentary rock. But as I said, there are many, many, many different quote unquote species of garnet that have different compositions. So it's difficult for me to narrow it down, but we can assume most of the garnet that we would be dealing with would be in like a gemstone quality or something like that. And as a side note, garnet is the birthstone of January, and it is the official state gemstone of New York. It is connected with vitality, regeneration, and passion. It can bring warmth and energy during the cold winter months, associated with strength, courage, and determination. So, however you prefer to use garnet, if you want to use it as a crystal or gemstone for you, or if you're using it in some sort of industrial abrasive, do with it what you will. Happy Yule, and thank you for stopping by the Crystal Corner with Sage.
All right, it's time for today's reading for the collective, and we are going to be using the Seasons of the Witch Yule Oracle. And we're going to be asking those same 3 questions that we always ask. So, first up, how can we best show up as our authentic selves in the coming weeks? And we drew merriment. The key words for this card are happiness and following your soul. This card guides you to act on the things that bring you joy. So, merriment has come to you because your soul is yearning for more moments of happiness that you're not getting with what you're currently doing. So, in order to show up as our most authentic selves in the coming weeks, we need to find joy in everything that we're doing. If the things that we're doing aren't giving us joy, we need to stop doing them. We need to stop doing the things that we're doing just for the sake of the fact that we always did it, and find the things that make us actually happy and do those instead. The next question is, where can we best direct our energy? And we got Yule log. The keywords for this card are letting go, creation, and the god and the goddess. Creation is a harmonic blend of both destruction and building. Some things must be cleared and destroyed so you have room to welcome something new. Channel the energy of the goddess by healing and letting go of what's holding you back. You can best direct your energy by burning away the things in your life that don't serve you. I think this also aligns with the answer, that we received with merriment in the first question that we asked. Because when you are burning away the things that don't bring you joy and don't add to your life instead of taking away from it, then you're instead making space and creating, you're instead making space for the things that do bring you joy and help move you forward. So for example, like, I don't get joy doing the dishes, but I know that I get joy when I walk into my kitchen and the whole kitchen is clean and there's no dishes in my sink. Like, I'm not going to get rid of doing the dishes because that doesn't give me joy, because there's a purpose for it. So you just have to really like take stock in what gives you joy and why it gives you joy, and get rid of the things that are just there for, no reason, or just there because it's what's expected of you, or it's what you've always done. And then, what do we need to create space for? Tranquility. The key words for tranquility are peace, silence, and healing. To be at peace means to have inner harmony, no matter what's happening around you. You are being guided to release stress and seek peace. So, this card is basically telling us that we need to create space for peace. And I think that it really aligns with the messages from the first two. Again, it's a matter of getting rid of the things that don't bring us joy and finding the peace in what we're doing, and making sure that what we're doing leads to joy. We are doing the dishes because when they're done, we are happy to walk into a clean kitchen. We are setting time aside for meditation because we know that will create more peace in our lives. So really take stock this time of year. Like I said earlier, it's a really good time to be looking inward and kind of seeing, like, what are we doing that, we don't need to be doing anymore? What are we doing what are we not doing that we should be doing, so that we are more fulfilled and more joyful?
Thanks for listening to the Cousin Coven podcast, available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Check out future episodes to conjure up conversation and weave witchcraft into your day.
Find us online at thecousincoven.com.
You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at the Cousin Coven Podcast.
Love yourself and love each other.
Blessed be. Have a joyful winter solstice.
Happy Yule!